Chris. What is this, episode 21? Yeah, because we had the big 2-0 yesterday. Not yesterday, last week. Anyway, so yeah, we're in a pseudo rush right now because we have a very special guest. Before we get to him, though, let's introduce the table as always. On my left, we have
Ian,
Andrew,
Brandon,
and I am Jake. And here with us on Skype, all the way from the Great White North, we have JASON ANARCHY, the creator of Drinking Quest.
Hello.
Hello.
Kind of took away his thunder there a little bit.
Typical Canadian greeting.
Hello.
So we have him on here. As I said, he's the creator of Drinking Quest. It's a card game, kind of combines, Dungeons and Dragons with drinking. We talk about all the goddamn time on here.
It's a merry old time.
Yeah. So, Jason, I guess the first question then is obviously, what's your favorite whiskey?
My favorite whiskey. Well, it's a tough one because you talk about like expensive scotches and stuff like that, and I'm always open to trying new things. And but I don't know, when it comes to like my go-to whiskeys, I usually alternate between bourbon and Irish. So if it's Irish, I go for Bushmills. If it's bourbon, I usually go to Jim Beam.
Bushmills, not Jameson.
Jameson, I love Jameson, but Bushmills has a slight advantage there.
Doesn't quite reach the top of the tier.
It's not as smoky.
I've never had it, now I feel like I'm missing out.
I know, right?
Yeah, and don't ask me to describe how it tastes. It's just that's what it is. So
no goddamn idea.
Bark flavor, something like that.
I wouldn't say any of us here are particularly fine alcohol connoisseurs. So
no, that's.
Just because I drink a lot doesn't mean I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. That's our motto. Look at that.
The more I drink, the less I know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. So, Jason and I first came in contact over Twitter, and as such, I will occasionally hop on Twitter these days, though I rarely do now, and I will see that he has tweeted many a times drunk playing Pathfinder. So,
yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I have sort of it's not really a twofold question, but. So we know you play Pathfinder. So how long have you been playing? What characters do you have? And do you prefer Pathfinder to just straight up D&D, or is it vice versa?
Wow, that is a great couple of questions there. Okay, so first and foremost, the reason I even made the Drinking Quest games anyway, it comes from about 20 odd years of never being able to get a game night group together. So I'd always create some kind of RPG setting and be the DM, and I would always be the person that ran everything. And then post Drinking Quest, it's like, I have no fucking time for anything, and everything's chaos, and my personal life is in shambles, and I sit in my home office eating McRibs for 80 hours a week. So
that's why you drink now, right?
The great thing about Pathfinder is, it was about a year and a half ago, a friend of mine kind of took up the mantle a little bit, and saw that gap where it's like, hey, there's no game nights running. So he started running these game nights, and he's like, hey, you should come out to these. I'm like, nah, man, I'm too fucking busy. And, but then eventually it was like, man, this actually sounds like a great time, and I should really make an effort to go to this every week, which I do about 2 or 3 weeks of the month now. And then his game was Pathfinder, and I never heard of it. And he's like, it's like an improved Dungeons & Dragons, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'll check it out. And yeah, it's been great. I've been having a great time playing Pathfinder and also dealing with Paizo and... just being a part of the industry and seeing everything they're doing, and I think they're a really great company, and they're making a great game. And specifically, the character that I have in Pathfinder is a druid bard.
Okay.
He actually started as a bard, and he came into the campaign late, so he was a bard and he was a weak bard. So generally they're pretty useless in the first place, but he was particularly useless because he was a level 1.
But he sung a great tune.
So basically bards are good for being skills monkeys, so they're good at all the weird little creative shit that you can come up with.
Right.
But they're bad at attacking and staying alive and being helpful to the team and things like that. Luckily the DM was the guy that when I was a DM, he was nothing against him, but he was kind of a shithead player. He could always try and really test the boundaries, and he would occasionally make my life difficult. So not that I'm trying to pay him back, but that's kind of naturally the character that I kind of became there. So, but then one of the greatest running jokes about my bard, whose name is Skinny Mike, by the way, as a reference to NoFX lead singer Fat Mike. He never had any gold, and so we were at the shop after an adventure, and all of the heroes that did all the work and killed all the monsters stole the gold. and I managed to find like 10 gold for whatever reason. What can I buy for 10 gold? And I noticed on the list there you can buy a squirrel for 1 gold. I'm like, great, I'll buy 10 squirrels. So every time I'd show up, there would be this new running joke where I would find a way to solve a problem with one of these squirrels, basically by it having some kind of horrible death happen to it.
That's great.
So the squirrel thing turned out, it was this great running joke, and there's all kinds of hilarious deaths that happen with these squirrels. So then it was a new joke where Skinny Mike the Bard was now friend of the animals. So we started dual classing as a druid. So now there are bigger and more powerful animals that are at my disposal to be disposable. So yeah, he's around level 10 or 11 now, and he's a bit of bard, but mostly druid now. So that's kind of the path that character took.
Event
so
was a big part of his
The
life.
path he has found,
That's
you may
right.
say.
That's right.
path he found exactly.
All right, so excellent.
That's great.
You're an excellent storyteller, man. I mean, I should assume so. I downloaded the phone app, as I say. Let's plug that one more time. The Drinking Quest mobile phone app.
Yes.
Do you guys have that out on iPhones and iPads yet, or is it still just Android?
It's just Android right now. It is in the works. It will be out for other stuff. There's a lot of stuff in the pipeline. A lot of stuff I can't publicly talk about at the moment, unfortunately. But that app should be coming to iOS probably in the first half of next year. And there should be some other stuff coming as well. So. Yeah, that was how that came about was kind of funny. There was a programming team out of the UK came to me and wanted to put it out, and I was like, all right, sure, yeah, let's do it. Here's the content. Let me know how it goes, and then they brought it back. And they did all these funny little things with it. And there's like new jokes and new things that can be funny. And if you beat the game, there's an ending. And we updated it with like a soundtrack and everything. So it turned into a fun little project. So.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Well, yeah. So as I said, we sat around one night and we played it, and it's goddamn is this game fun. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. Yeah,
I died 5 times.
Checked out a lot of the feedback on the app yet. So
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so moving on. I guess that's actually a pretty decent segue because now I have a couple questions here that focus more on Drinking Quest as as your thing.
Yes.
So when was it that you realized you really wanted to sit down and combine your two obvious loves of drinking and Dungeons and Dragons, so to speak?
All right. There's probably 2 main factors there. So factor number 1 is probably it plays into the whole cliche of being an adult and working a 9-to-5 job and the soul-sucking kind of office lifestyle and things like that. So I was already kind of miserable with what I was doing with my life. And then from there, I was at a friend's wedding, and it was near the end of the night, and we were having a great time, and a buddy and me were just really drunk off of free scotch. And so I mentioned earlier that I was always putting together game nights and creating game systems and blah, blah, blah. So he's like, hey, you're always making all these game systems and drinking with your friends. You should combine those 2 things. And then I probably said something like, yeah, whatever. But then a few months later, I was commuting to work, and I was like, no, holy shit, that is a really good idea, and I can pull this off, so I'm going to do that, absolutely. So, and I had, it was just a matter of realizing, creatively, I had always, whenever I'd play games with my friends, I would rarely ever, play an established game. I would always, but buy a game or a game book or something, but make my own more accessible version for the group because, I love RPGs, but I find to run an RPG, it's a lot of work. Like you really need to put the work in ahead of time and then make sure everyone stays on topic so the work that you put in pays off. So I usually just made kind of broader strokes and made it a little more accessible, and I was really used to doing that and playing with numbers too. Like my all-time favorite game, it's not really an imaginary-based RPG as much, but from the early '90s, it's a game called The Hero Quest, and it was kind of a light RPG, but it was more heavy on like tactical grid-based action, and it was still pretty simple, and I really liked the simplicity, and that's kind of my all-time favorite game where a lot of things stemmed from. So before I came out with Drinking Quest, the engines that I had just morphed into, it was every week something would change, and it just turned into something pretty unrecognizable. So Drinking Quest, I kind of took a lot of the ideas that I had and then dumbed them down even further to be something that was answering the question of what is a drinking RPG. And then in my mind, it should be a light RPG, and I like to describe Drinking Quest as the simplest tabletop RPG that still fits the strict definition. And then it should be a light drinking game, because in general, if you're playing an RPG, odds are you're not at a party. So I don't know. You're probably sitting around with a few friends, right? So it would probably be a lighter drinking game as well. And I'm really happy with how it turned out, especially with the drinking balance as well. So occasionally on Twitter, I'll follow somebody, and I'll get some kind of reaction like, "Oh, I don't drink. Oh, you're terrible. Don't follow me. You're a jerk."
What the hell?
And I have a few things to say that. First of all, one of them is I don't think they understand how following works on Twitter. And then secondly, it's people always see the drinking more than the RPG part. So it's a 50% drinking game. So it averages about 2 or 3 chugs over 2 or 3 hours. Depending on how quickly you play through it with your friends. And most drinking games are just it's basically unlimited drinking, and there's a person that passes out in 10 minutes, and you don't finish the game, whatever that game is. So the goal was, you'll be able to go through all the quests, finish the game, everyone gets a nice buzz on, people will point and laugh at the people who had to chug, things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
But I didn't want it to be too excessive, so...
No, yeah.
I think it's really important to strike that balance when you have a drinking game to not get something that'll just knock everyone out in 10 minutes.
For sure, yeah.
At that point, you're just binge drinking, just for shits and grins.
Well, and I mean,
Drink when you roll dice.
Whenever we played, Andrew unfortunately was drinking water that night.
Yeah.
But he
smartly of me, because I would have been fucked up otherwise.
he died like 5 times in the first 3 quests. So, so I guess we'll move on to the last question I have for you then. And it's kind of an obvious one. I'm sure you've been asked it a billion times. I asked you this a while back, simply because you have Drinking Quest 1, Drinking Quest 2, Drinking Quest 3. That's all done. So what? I know you probably can't talk a lot about it, but can you give us maybe an idea of what you have in the pipe next, or if it's even related to Drinking Quest at all?
Sure. Yeah. With and being sort of vague. There's Drinking Quest projects coming out next year, but they're not games. And there are games coming out next year that are not Drinking Quest.
Oh, nice.
So
intriguing.
That. Nice. Yeah, and then right now it's basically Drinking Quest 3 kind of ends the trilogy, and I wanted to kind of leave those 3 games be. So the idea was, I never wanted to do expansions or anything. There's 3 games, you can jump in anywhere, but they're all just different stories in the same kind of drunken Middle Earth. So so Drinking Quest 3 is the big thing I'm pushing right now, and they're all selling fairly well, which is great. So I just that's the main thing I want to push, and then I'd be happy to come back when the next thing comes out next year.
Oh, hell yeah.
Awesome.
Before we let you go here, Jason, tell me, how does it feel to be making a living doing what you love?
It's generally pretty good, yeah.
Oh, good.
It's a lot of non-glamorous, 60 to 80 hour work weeks. But there are definitely some great high points there. Working a lot of these conventions and interacting with a lot of creative people that I respect and things like that. And the rap song I have on the site they did with MC Lars was one of the most random collaborations that ever
so
happened.
Good. I forgot to show you.
I'm a huge MC Lars fan. He's, as far as I'm concerned, he's the next Weird Al in terms of musical comedy talent. So the fact that we teamed up and did a song, that was awesome. That was one of my favorite things to come out of everything. And then in general, when people say nice things and positive feedback, that's really great to hear. And then, in terms of Twitter and interacting with people, publicly, I play up, I'm a bit of a boastful buffoon, a little bit.
I believe it was a forearmed.
Obviously, I'm a real person with feelings and shit. So, I like to hear nice things. So.
Feelings and shit.
That's good.
At the end of the day, you're responsible for bringing something called Drinking Quest into the world. So I feel like you can go to your grave happy just knowing that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and also a comment on the swearing too. I think I mention this every podcast, but in real life I swear like a sailor. But in the Drinking Quest games, even though you have to be legal drinking age to play them, I always made a point about there's nothing too there's nothing really more than 14A or PG-13, depending on country's rating system. In terms of humor. So I set up a lot of dirty jokes for people to make on their own, but there's nothing too filthy in the games, and that's very much on purpose. I wanted to be more Arrested Development than 2.5 Men in terms of the humor style.
That's actually pretty
good. That's something good to aspire to.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you have our backing in that. All right, Jason. Well, you've been a great guest, man. You're really hilarious, and all these stories.
Hey, you guys are great. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, as you said, if you ever next time you release something, even if it's just some whatever, something as simple as an iOS Drinking Quest app, just get a hold of us if you want to be on, or maybe I'll get a hold of you. We'll see. But before we go, do you want to? We do one thing very well on this podcast, and it's plug our own shit.
It's true.
So, real quick, if you want to throw out your website and any other pertinent information for the listeners.
Sure. Yeah, it's just drinkingquest.com. Super easy. Just Drinking Quest on Facebook, at Drinking Quest on Twitter, and you can order all 3 of the games from drinkingquest.com. And I just added a discount for ordering all 3 of them. So if you order all 3, then you get $10 off. It's something we had for a Black Friday deal, and I just kept it on after because it seemed to work really well. So now is a good time to get on board with the Drinking Quest games.
Excellent. Well, as I said, Jason, thanks for being on. We will talk to you later. Maybe we'll see what happens. But yeah, again, thanks for being on, everybody. Everyone want to say bye?
Bye.
All right, much appreciated. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
All right, so now we can, move on to our
What a
normal,
good story,
regularly
Cody.
scheduled.
Back to all of our usual
Nonsense.
bullshit.
Yeah, where we can actually talk over each other and be assholes.
I'm glad we did the interview first, because now I can turn off the podcast.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now everybody's like, well, that was good. I'm
No
going to
one
go
gives a
ahead.
shit. Yeah.
Just,
It's
stop listening
very
to this.
important that everyone who tunes in just because they knew he was going to be on the show can now dismiss this.
Really? We
They're not
Yeah.
even hearing
we
what I'm
should
saying
have-
now. They've already
Yeah.
done it.
No, fuck
Right
it.
now we're just
Alright,
talking to
alright,
ourselves.
It's over.
Yeah.
Us and our
We should have
usual
said it to the end, man. Then they'd have to fucking.
And
wait
I
for
mean, that sounds like perfect timing. Actually,
perfect timing.
We have our other guest because you may have noticed before we are lacking Mitch right now.
Mitch is gone.
That's because he
will
has
be
a
back.
job. However, we were lucky enough to have Miss Tess Devine show back up and fill in his seat. Just we are kind of sitting wonky today, simply for necessity.
This is the new mic. I haven't seen the new mic yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been here forever.
One of the new
It's been a
mics.
while.
shiny here.
It's so sparkly.
I know. Yeah, we have even a display one, you might call it, that you can look at.
Display one. Here's the first model.
Exactly. You just missed our wonderful interview with the delightful Jason Anarchy, the Drinking Quest guy. He's just he's a fucking delight.
Yeah, that was
Oh my god.
Don't hold back. Say what's on your mind, Drew.
No, exactly. Listen,
I love him.
I love it.
I was gonna pull you off his dick. It's
Nah, man.
Whoa, man.
He
happens.
made an RPG with drinking. It's 2 of my favorite things.
And to me, it's so genius because anytime I've ever played, D&D or otherwise, if there's paper and pencil going on, alcohol is being served. I mean, that's just.
Is this just where we circle jerk over him for the next
Yes.
hour now?
No,
This
We
is
interviewed him, and now we're just going to
No,
talk
I
about
was
how
gonna
I
say
think-
it. I was gonna say it during the interview, but he had all these fucking stories to tell, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Shit, man, I don't want to.
I don't interrupt these great stories.
I don't want to interrupt these great stories." But no, I think that's genius, and I think anybody who hears it is like, "Well,
Of course.
absolutely,
Yeah.
1 + 1 equals
it
2."
makes
For
sense,
Christ's sake.
yeah.
It's amazing they weren't married already.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, Tess, welcome to the podcast.
Hey.
We're all a little bit warmed up. You look cold because you're
I'm
in your.
so cold.
Yeah.
It's cold.
You said before you came over, you were at a Betty.
A what?
Betty
What the hell?
Gathering.
A Betty
And
gathering.
we were all very curious about
Yeah.
what that was.
A Betty gathering. Betty is short for Betty and the Baldwin, which is an improv group I'm in.
Oh.
And so it consists of people who are parents and lawyers and insurance people. And then there's me, which makes no sense. But they're all really family oriented. They're all much a little bit older than me, and we all do these bonding gatherings and whatnot. And
Ice cream socials.
pretty much.
So kinda
And in this case,
Yeah.
in this case it was a Christmas little get together, and so we had food.
Nice.
Yeah.
There was food. That's
There was
good.
food, and I got to take this big bottle of Sprite.
Oh man!
This is what
Right.
I pulled out.
And I got cookies.
As
and
if
so
to show
it was-
the people at home.
I actually, yeah, I know. I actually made an egg salad for it, but then I dropped it on the floor after working
man.
for an
God.
hour, and I was.
Damn it.
I know.
Egg salad.
I started laughing. That was my response. I was like, no, I'm just gonna laugh.
If I don't laugh, I'll cry.
Yeah, so that was where I was.
For a moment, did you look at it and you're like, if I just kind of scooped up the top
Yes.
part?
And then I remembered.
Maybe I can save this.
No one
Yeah,
would know.
then I remembered that I live with three boys, and he said, and I quote, "We have the 50-hour rule." So I was
That's gone.
Yeah, it's pretty much done for.
I'll save it for them in their 50 hours.
Yeah.
Basically, until it grows mold
Just stand
on
on
it.
the floor and be like, if you guys want
Pretty
this,
much.
have
I'm at it, guys.
Leave a few spoons in there.
I imagine you wake up and you go get a drink from the kitchen or something, and they're just
gone.
huddled over it, like not even a spoon, just like a dog. Just
Remember the
feasting.
trolls
Yeah.
in Troll 2 eating the person?
Oh god.
Like,
Troll 2.
my God, that
Troll
movie.
2.
we just popped our Troll 2 cherry a couple months ago.
yes, we did. We saw it at the Palace.
Yeah.
That was
I love
something
it.
It was
else,
unreal.
man.
That movie is so bad.
We love bad movies.
You know-
Oh,
and
it's the best. One of
There's
the
a
best.
documentary about that
Yeah.
movie that was done by the kid, I
Yeah.
think.
Oh!
The little kid
I
grew up and did a
watched,
documentary.
like a-
I think
like
it's
a
called
preview
Worst
for it on
Best
YouTube.
Movie or something.
Yeah, I watched a preview for it on YouTube. He got to interview a lot of the people involved in it, like the guy who plays his dad and the oh my
He was
god
like a dentist
kid
or
and all
something.
that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like his dad.
my God.
The guy who played his dad was a fucking
was
dentist.
a dentist,
That's right.
and he still is. He's not like an actor.
Yeah.
Or anything. He's
No, it's really funny. I remember I first heard of the movie maybe like 2 years ago when the Skinny Improv, they were doing movie roastings at the time. And they were going to play that film, and for some reason I don't think I went to it. It got canceled or whatever. But the dad, he found the event and was like, "Where is this? I might be able to
Oh, that's
go."
awesome.
And they were like, "Oh my god!" Like everyone there was like freaking out.
this is so much cooler.
Right, and I don't think it ended up panning out. I don't know what happened. I think it got canceled. Like the whole thing got canceled because no one had time or whatever reason. But after that, I was like, I've never seen this movie. It's apparently a horrible film. And then I went and got it from the library, and I'm like, this
And
is
you
a
were
horrible
right.
Holy
film.
shit.
It's life
Oh my
changingly
god,
bad.
it is, but it's like so bad that it's good, and then it goes back from good to bad.
Oh no, we were having a blast watching
The whole
that.
time.
in
It's
the
so much
theater.
fun. It's just you sit there and I think I live tweeted it when I watched it. I was just like,
yeah.
what is with this film?
Is that the one with Jennifer Aniston in it?
No.
Okay.
No, this has
That's
no
a-
one of
I
note.
think that's Leprechaun too.
Is it? Okay, yeah. Sorry. I
Jennifer
get it.
Aniston was in Leprechaun.
Leprechaun
Yeah.
2 or 3 or one of those.
She's in one of the Leprechauns. It's like one of her. I believe it's one of her first roles.
Oh,
There's a way to find out for sure.
Yeah.
IMDb.
It's probably it was
Yeah,
probably one of
it's
those. I want to be a scream
You're
queen
Bing.
things.
You're a Bing
Yeah.
man.
Except it was
I am a big
Leprechaun
fan.
too.
Really?
So
Because Bing is literally the only search engine that will pay you to use it.
What?
That's true.
It's true. It's a true story. If you,
Because it has
You can get a
two.
plug-in.
this is my plug of the week. I'm going to give a plug to Microsoft.
Bing.
Shout out to
Yes,
Bing.
please.
Plug to Microsoft.
Bing has a thing called Bing Rewards, and if you sign up for it, every time you search through Bing, you get like rewards points, and you can eventually redeem them for Amazon gift cards. So like I've like literally since I started just using Bing as my primary search engine, like a couple of years ago, I've probably ended up with like $40 or $50 worth of shit that I wouldn't have had otherwise, or that I would have had to actually spend money on instead of using
Real
magic
money.
Bing money on.
I still don't understand why they don't just call it Bing Wards.
That's a good
Bing
point.
Wards.
Bing
Oh,
Wards.
right?
Sounds like a guy's name. Mr. Bing Wards.
It's a Bing Ward.
Bing Wards,
Oh,
Bing Wards.
Bing
I
Wards.
discovered the perfect name.
She was in the first Leprechaun.
Was it?
Just
Okay.
Leprechaun.
Well, that's better.
Okay.
Is it?
I mean, horror sequels, man. I mean, it's not good.
I'm not sure the Leprechaun series was ever terribly appreciated.
No.
Anything.
It was not
She
critically
was in
acclaimed.
Microsoft Windows 95 video guide. That's
Nice.
Herself.
She was herself.
She's probably like a
I'm
celebrity
Jennifer
guest.
Aniston from Leprechaun.
Do you think that that's a collector's item now? Like people try to find it. Like,
yeah.
That would have been during her Friends years, so.
No. It was
Oh.
pre-Friends.
No.
If it was 95, then it was Friends.
Yeah,
It would have been like first or second year of Friends.
Yeah.
it was probably technically the second year because Friends started in '94.
Was it
You even
94?
know
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know
well, no, I
years.
know,
Resident
I know,
Friends expert.
I know when they ended in '04 and they had been on
And it
for
went
10
10
years.
seasons, so yeah.
So I just
Math.
math.
I just mathed it.
But see, even that was too much work for me. Somewhere.
Can't do it.
2004 minus 10.
Yeah, I'll let someone else do
He
it.
takes out his hands like, no, never mind.
I could, but I don't want
That's
to.
too much work for me.
There's too many hands I need to. 2000's a big number.
I'm legitimately considering changing my last name to Fist. because I discovered the.
Jake Fist.
I know, right? That's a rad name by itself.
Is it?
But yeah, it is. Fuck you.
It is. Say that.
But I say this because I've discovered the perfect name for a person. The only problem is that it requires that you not have a middle name, which, at least in this country, you have to have at least an initial.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It was established whenever we, during the Great Immigration.
Actually, you're right. That's
okay.
true. You have to have at least initial.
That's why some people, some
picked
older
Z.
people, have just a straight up initial as their middle name.
Yeah.
Because when they immigrated, they just had to choose one.
Right.
Anyway, so the name is Richard Fist.
Richard Dick Fist?
Dick Fist.
That's just a
It would
porno
be better.
name. man.
Exactly.
It would be better if it was Dicky. Just
Dicky Fist. Yeah.
That is better.
Not just
Dicky
a
Fist.
porno name, but like Richard Fist is such a supervillain name.
Exactly.
Yes.
Everyone
And
would
you'd have like the
Spider-Man's like swinging through the city, and it's like, oh no, it's Richard Fist. He's like destroying a car or something.
He's like fucking Mark
President
Hamill
of
in
the Fist
James Silent Bob
Corporation.
with the giant fist.
President of Fist.
a fist
Oh,
corp.
yeah. What is
It's like an acronym, FIST. Yeah.
It's like the president of capital letters, except it's a fist.
President of Capital Letters.
That was our greatest achievement.
I love that.
So, yes, Brandon,
So
you were very late today, and I want to know why.
I got lost.
You got my ass. You got lost.
Every week.
I know for like 21 weeks now.
I decided to fly. And I got lost.
What happened, buddy?
I was just, going down Glenstone and doing a thing, and I'm not going to tell exactly. I'm not going to follow it. I just was going down a road, and then I suddenly hit.
I mean, you can say Glenstone. It doesn't matter.
I was going down.
Glenstone's long.
I was going down Glenstone. I just suddenly hit the wrong road. I just got, I turned onto the other road.
Yeah.
That you live on.
Yeah.
I was going down it, and then I just hit the wrong street. I was like, wait a minute, this road ends too soon. So I'm making me like a left instead of a right. Okay, let's turn around. It's fine. And I kept going,
And then I was lost.
I was like way the hell out there.
And you're like, uh-oh.
I hit St. Louis, so I was like, wait a minute.
That's
dude.
great.
Like,
You went way the hell out of the way.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I think I was just too excited to get here, and I just blinked and like
The adrenaline was pumping.
the adrenaline was pumping.
You just got lost.
Let's go.
God damn it,
I
Brandon.
know.
You had one fucking job.
One job.
I even texted him. I was like, dude, we have an interview today, so try to be here on time. He's probably like half an hour late. Didn't fucking matter because we had technical problems, so
Yeah.
whatever.
But
So-
we figured it out.
Yeah, if you can't tell, I'm finally getting around to all these fucking things I wanted to talk about when we actually got to the podcast. I sound really shitty right now
So you
because,
sound kind of hoarse.
well, they're twofold. I originally sounded shitty because I'm pretty sure I've had laryngitis for about a week and a half. Yeah, okay. The shirt's
Oh,
more
it's away
good.
from you.
No, it's good for you because I don't think it's contagious anymore because it's kind of starting to go away.
It's good for you.
I think
It's
it's
good.
good.
It's
good for you.
Several days after it goes away.
like the poke arrows.
then
Yeah, come here, I'll breathe on you.
No one's like making out with me, so it's fine.
I don't give a shit.
That's what you think.
Sonya might have it soon. But yeah, so that's part of it. And then Andrew decided to download NBA Jam
Yes.
earlier tonight, and I can't play NBA Jam
Come on,
without
it's like-
being like the loudest motherfucker in the world.
No one can.
So, yeah,
no
exactly.
one can.
And the voice.
So that made it more hoarse than it already is. And you can imagine how big of a hurdle this has been for me when I worked at a job that requires me to talk on phones
Yeah.
all
Oh,
day.
it's the worst when you're sick and you're on the phones.
Yep.
I worked at a call center for a pizza place, and I remember.
Was it my pizza?
Was it Pizza
place?
Hut?
Yes, it was. Yes. It was your pizza
They
I
have
place.
always
since
wanted to know about
closed it.
the other side of that.
Oh, it is miserable. It is so miserable.
Because, like, my job is great because I have minimal customer
Yes.
interaction. Working at a call center, it must just be awful because it's nothing but customer
It's nothing but
interaction.
customers, but it's also customers from like local and in Oklahoma and Arkansas and Kansas and sometimes South Dakota and sometimes
All
like
over the
Delaware.
state?
It's
Jeez.
it's
What's
all
all
over.
over the state?
Delaware, yeah, I know, it's a whole like region. But I
Weird.
remember when I was sick one time and I had to still talk and I was like, "Welcome to pizza." My voice was like going in and out and I'd have coughing fits and like they wouldn't let me go home and I
Yeah.
was like, I need to call in sick. Sorry.
They're like, can I still hear you? Yes. All right, you ready to go?
Just wash my microphone.
You know what must just be fantastic about that? And I know I'm not the only one who does this, but so many times, like, there'll be a customer who's like, this isn't what I ordered, or like, I ordered breadsticks or something too, and I'm like, yeah, you should just give the call center a call and they'll hammer it out for you. And then I just leave.
I hate people like you.
All I do is just shove my problems onto the call center because if I can't see them, they can't do anything to me.
Yeah.
I'm in the car. I'm gone.
We just think about you with our minds. That's pretty much what we do.
I couldn't do that at my last place because the chain I worked at in Liberty, we had to take calls ourselves. So if I was like, just give the store a call and whatever, and then it'd be my manager. They'd be like, "What's wrong?" Well, your driver didn't have my breadsticks, or whatever. And then I get to the store and they're like, "Why didn't you have the breadsticks?"
And then you have to tell them
God, you know.
ate the breadsticks.
And it's just like,
and of course,
something happened somewhere. It wasn't my fault.
Sorry, man.
Technology must be at fault.
yes. Most of the time, it's people calling because they tried using the online app, or they would call because of the online app or whatever, their phone app wouldn't
Messing
work.
up.
Yeah, and it's like, well, what do you do? Call a person and do it.
Yeah,
it's a lot
just
faster.
Get a fucking grandchild or somebody on the phone and figure out what's happening.
But you see, that's the genius of having online delivery is that you're so incredibly removed from people. You only have those 5 seconds where you're like, here's the money, here's my pizza,
Have I
close
told
the
you
door.
how genius I think the new Domino's commercial is, where there's one of the guys making a pizza and he's talking about how easy the online app is and shit.
No.
And talking about oh yeah, it's just so much better for all of us at the store if everyone just used the online app. And I'm like, this is brilliant, because if this works, these people don't have to talk to anybody. I need to call the higher ups of Pizza Hut and be like, you need to plug the shit out of the online stuff, man.
Flood the airwaves.
Everyone's gonna love working here just 10 times more.
Yeah.
See, the thing that I've noticed, I haven't ordered pizza over the phone in literally since I was in elementary school.
The only reason I do
It's
it
been
is
a while.
because it's the only reason I can apply. It's the only way I can apply discounts.
Oh.
So I can be like, "This is Andrew calling.
Yeah.
I need this pizza."
Hi, I'm in.
Is that how you have to start the call? This is Andrew
Hello,
calling.
this is Andrew. I'm calling in the discount.
You gotta give the secret password.
You send up the bat discount up into the sky. the
Code blue.
That discount.
Other than that,
big old
I-
signal.
Pizza.
Yeah.
basically.
I would always go online. I don't think I've ever since I turned 15 or so.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever called a pizza place that I didn't work at to get pizza. Papa John's, I've never called them. I don't,
They don't even know you exist as far as
What's
they're
the point
concerned.
of calling another place if you work at a place you can get the exact same thing for a discount?
Yeah.
What's the point? Why would it be like, oh, I just want something new.
Well,
I'm gonna get Papa John's.
some of them
and pay
do
for it.
certain things better,
Papa John's doesn't
It's
do
true,
anything
man.
better
Like-
than
That's
anybody.
fair.
Papa John's
Subway.
only has 1 or 2 specialties that I really, really like, but for the most part, I'd never go there. Their chicken is shit.
Everything they make tastes like sausage.
I haven't noticed that.
Seriously,
But their
every
chicken is absolute shit.
I think you can
And
sell that. I think
will
that's
say
the
that until I
motto.
die.
Everything we make tastes
Tastes
like
like
sausage,
sausage.
and it's got that smiling guy.
yeah, it has fucking Papa John on there, and he's like, everything I make tastes like
Tastes like
sausage.
sausage.
And I'm
Isn't that
sitting
right,
there,
Peyton Man?
and I'm sitting there watching this motherfucker on the TV,
Yeah.
mean mugging. I'm like, I fucking hate you.
Yeah. I hate you.
But
you
I'll
spray
eat your
can.
sausage
Your white
pizza.
fucking
And your
teeth.
Yeah, his-
stupid Italian hair.
Freaking straight down. Oh my god. That guy is filthy rich. By
Oh
the
god.
Oh, yeah.
He did he hosted this special rally for Mitt Romney a year or so ago at this house that had an 18-hole golf course in the backyard and
Sweet.
shit like that.
What?
That's
It
right.
was disgusting.
It's disgusting. It's
Disgusts
disgusting.
me. See that guy smiling at me on the TV. I can't do anything
He's
about
such
it.
a smug dude.
He is.
He's smug as hell.
course, he-
I really hate commercials where people are fake enthusiastic.
Oh yeah.
If I,
especially local
You
ads.
want to know my
Yeah.
biggest,
Oh, God.
my biggest
Oh, God.
pet peeve right now, commercial-wise, is have you guys seen the Kindle Fire commercials with the Mayday button? And there's that cheery redheaded bitch who picks up. And
I was just gonna call her a bitch.
she's all like, "Oh, what's wrong? What seems to be the problem with your Kindle today?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, my niece is coming over and I want her to play with my Kindle, but
And not see
I
my
don't want her
porn."
to be able to use it forever." She's like, "Oh, you can set time settings on your Kindle so she can only use it for so long." And he pulls up a picture and he's like, "Yeah, because who could say no to this face?" And it's of the niece, and she's like,
yeah.
"Aw," in this super fake, that is so fake.
No.
I hate you so much right now.
You know what? Okay, so that commercial started airing before I started working at my job right now. The voice she's using is the same fucking voice I use on the phone, to a T.
Yeah.
How can I help you?
No,
He's like,
Yeah, and
"How can I help
I
you
guess we
today?"
all got our customer voices.
well,
Sure.
Yeah.
There is a certain voice for telemarketing, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that sort of
Yeah.
kind of phony enthusiasm.
It's like,
Yeah.
hi, how are you today? You know,
But if you
Yeah.
but if
almost
you
like
don't
music.
use it, people on the other line think something's wrong.
They do. They
How are you
absolutely
today,
do.
sir?
Are you about to kill yourself?
Sir, are you filled with ennui?
It's like, what, Do you want a ransom or something? What's going on?
I'm confused.
Yeah, right. Well, like, does your job ask you to like smile, like inject a smile when you're on
Into
the
the
phone?
call.
Close. The tagline is we have to make them feel the hug.
Oh my god!
So like, so wait,
Creepy.
so
You need to feel the hug.
you have to speak like you're hugging them and giving them technical information as you're doing it, like into their ear.
And the best part is it's usually
Have you
like this.
considered Weight Watchers?
It's usually like a 9-year-old woman who's she's trying her damnedest to get this stupid website to work.
Right.
And the website is, it could be better.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Perfect.
Yeah, so she's calling up and she's like, "Can you just help me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." She's cheery as hell in her ear, and she's just defeated as shit. Just like, just tell me what to do, man. I
just
don't.
visualize is like
Quit hugging
you with
me.
your words, just like holding her close and just like stroking her hair. And just like, it's okay.
It's okay. Go to the homepage.
It's okay.
Just go to WeightWatchers.com and we'll go from there. It'll be simple.
I'm gonna walk you through this.
Right
we're
click.
gonna, we're gonna make it.
Right
We're
click,
gonna get
Ruth.
through this together. It's all right.
Right click,
I'm your
Ruth. Right
spirit
click.
guide.
Correctly. I had a woman named Ruth. She was 80 years old, schooled my ass in computers.
There is anyone under the age of 40 named Ruth anymore?
I feel like I've met a
No,
Ruth who was like my
probably not.
age.
That's such an old
Long
person
ago.
name.
That's a real
It is an old person.
Small
That and
percentage,
like
man.
Jerry or something.
Or like the hyphenated names,
Gretel.
like a Bobby
Correct.
Sue.
Like
Gretchen?
Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis.
No.
Ethel.
That's the last name.
The only
Apple,
hyphenated
yeah, I
names
know.
I know are football players.
This makes sense. They have crazy bonkers names. They do. It's ridiculous.
I think it's sports players more because there are some crazy ass names in basketball also, like Dikembe.
Dikembe Mutombo.
Yeah.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
This is a
Just
roll
working
off
these
now.
out, man.
What's another one? Well, you
Maybe
gotta
a
have
whole
one more.
podcast.
You gotta have one more.
Just keep naming names.
Vlade Divac. Hito Turkoglu.
Turkoglu.
Just used him earlier.
Richard Fist.
Dirk
Richard
Nowitzki.
So yeah,
Kobe
sports
Bryant.
crazy. Kobe.
Who would be named Kobe? It just doesn't make sense.
I was
that's not
always
a compliment.
curious. Did they ever name him? Like, did they ever nickname him the Beef?
What?
You know, I don't think
Because
so.
Kobe.
He's been the block.
Okay,
He's
Kobe
been the
Bryant.
Black Mamba for as long as
The
we can
Black
recall.
Mamba.
So because he's like fast and deadly, I guess.
He's black.
Sure.
You never make it in pro basketball if you don't come up with a nickname at some point.
Is that true?
That's right.
It's a true story.
I see that.
It's you gotta have
I've
your
got
Black
next.
Mamba, your King James. I'm sure Dwayne Wade's got one. I just don't care what it is.
No, because we just all call him Dwayne Wade.
In
Doesn't
fact,
matter.
there are probably not very many nicknames at all. I'm just pulling that out of my ass.
But
Can we
screw
talk
it.
about football for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure,
Please.
man. Go for it.
Because
I mean, you can talk
the
about
most
football.
absurd thing
I'll
ever
listen to you
is
talk about
happening right
football.
now. Like we are witnessing like the most insane season
Oh,
of
man.
Packers football I may have
Are
ever
you
seen
talking
in my
about how the
life.
Rams won this week? I know, it was crazy, right?
It was really nuts that they won.
Yeah, I started watching the game halfway through simply because we were up by 3 touchdowns.
The Rams
I was like, what's happening?
are a better team than I think a lot of people expect them to be right now.
Because for some reason,
I think they've got a chance against anybody. They're just
next year they're gonna have Bradford back and it's gonna be the same fucking shit. But for some reason, Kellen Clemens is working with Zach Stacy and fucking Tavon, even though
should just
Tavon's hurt now. So
accidentally push Bradford off the cliff at some point in the offseason and be like, oh no, Bradford! Oh, well, guess we'll just stick with Colin Clemens. Or we'll draft a new quarterback.
it's really like this really more like simmered down version of what happened when we went from was it Trent Green to Warner?
I don't know. Don't look at me.
back in like '99.
Yeah,
whenever.
Trent Green went down and then Kurt Warner.
Yeah,
came.
except that time we went to the Super Bowl.
Kurt Warner, he of the I only played arena football fame.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, well, they're fucked because they're putting in an arena quarterback. And then Kurt Warner was like, just kidding, guys, I'm the best ever.
You know why he was the best ever? Because he worked at Hy-Vee.
You know why he was the best ever?
Because he was. Because he
he
wasn't.
wasn't.
No, that's fair.
He's
All right.
good, though. I like Kurt Warner a lot.
Okay, so fucking.
But no, the Packers are in the midst of maybe the most insane season of football I have ever witnessed in my life. And let me walk you through this as succinctly as I can so that people at home can understand this in not football terms. So the Packers started their season kind of hobnobbed, but then they got their shit together for a while. And then we were kind of on cruise control. We had the best quarterback in the league, Aaron Rodgers, captaining the plane.
Your favorite man.
And he's all like, we're the best team ever as long as I'm fucking here, and we're winning games, and we're all sorts of the best.
But then...
And we're going into the Monday night game against Chicago heavily favored to kick some ass, and then boom, Aaron Rodgers goes down with a broken collarbone. And we're watching the season melt away before our eyes. Because we're in like one of the toughest divisions in football. There's no
And a
way...
collarbone lasts for a while.
Yeah, there's no way the Bears and the Lions are just just going to suck dick while we wait for our quarterback to get better. So
Well, the
for a
Bears,
while there,
maybe.
For a while there, we're all like, all right, so now we have to figure out how to win without Aaron Rodgers, because we're pretty much boned without him. And we did not win without Aaron Rodgers for a long time. I believe we went 0-4-1 without Rodgers.
That's right, you tied.
We tied a game.
It's crazy.
Which comes into play later. We somehow at least salvaged what should have been a loss and turned it into a tie.
Well, and didn't your second string also get injured?
Yes, our second string quarterback went down, and then our third string quarterback sucked balls, so we pulled him in favor of a guy we signed off the street 2 weeks after Rodgers went down, named Matt Flynn. And I think I talked about him on one of our shows recently. But Matt Flynn has been the guy recently, and he hasn't been great, but he's been good enough, I guess. So we went like 0-4-1 without Aaron Rodgers. And at this point, we should be shitballs. Like, we should just be totally fucked. Except Detroit and Chicago are both struggling against fucking everybody they play for no apparent reason.
Sure.
So last week we're going into Atlanta, or Atlanta's coming to Green Bay. I don't care. It doesn't matter. We're playing Atlanta. And we beat Atlanta because Atlanta's shit. And even Matt Flynn can beat Atlanta.
Even Matt Flynn.
And against all odds, Detroit lost to Philadelphia, and like Chicago is still losing games here and there. So we go into this week literally a half game back of Chicago and Detroit. Mm-hmm. Because of the tie, you see.
Because of the tie.
Because of the tie, we're a half game back instead of a
game.
full game. This is important. Obviously, beating the Vikings would have been better, but the tie is good too. So we're
Better
playing,
than nothing.
We're playing Dallas on Sunday, or we played Dallas this last Sunday, I should say. And I hate Dallas. I hate the Dallas Cowboys with all fibers of my being. It's just ingrained in your head as a Packers fan. Hate the Cowboys, right up there with hate the Bears, hate the Vikings, pity the Lions. You know?
I think everybody pities the Lions.
Yeah.
I think that's...
and you'll learn to pity them more. So the Packers are playing the Cowboys in what is basically a make or break game. We're still a half game behind everybody, and we can't expect them to just lose out the rest of the season. We've got to basically not lose, because then we'd be 1.5 games back with 2 games to go, and that's tricky shit. That's bad business. So the Packers, in this must-win game, decide to go down at halftime 26-3 to the Dallas Cowboys. And I've given up on this team.
Well,
I'm posting depressing shit on Facebook.
It's like, oh man, it's over.
We still don't have Aaron Rodgers. We need to fire everyone on this team.
Everybody sucks.
I thought
Kill them all.
I thought he was going to kill himself on Sunday. I saw shit and I was like, should I?
I thought about throwing myself into traffic. It was a rough day. So
I did this for Aaron Rodgers.
It's time for me to go to work. I've given up on the game. I've given up on the season. I'm like, I'm a Chiefs fan the rest of the way, I guess.
Because you want to hurt me.
Because I'm from Kansas City. So I go to work, and I'm at work for probably half an hour before I pull up my game to check my fantasy stats. And the Packers score has gone from 26-3 to 29-17, I think. And I'm like, oh, we made it a game. That's going to make it more depressing when we lose. But I guess I'll turn this on now. So I start listening to the game at work. And the Packers climb back into it, and climb back into it, and climb back into it. And the next thing I know, we're down 11 with 4 minutes to go, give or take. Packers get the ball, run down the field, get a touchdown. We've been scoring touchdowns all half long because Dallas's defense apparently forgot to exist for a while.
Yeah.
So
That's nice of them.
They got cocky.
I know, it's super swell. So then we're down 5. Tony Romo. Tony gets the ball for the Cowboys, their quarterback, and Tony Romo has a reputation for being notoriously bad in December football games.
Really?
He's kind of gotten this Favrean reputation for being really good 90% of the time, but then
he has
that
these
10%
times...
of the time when the game is on the line, he's probably going to throw an interception.
Oh.
So what does Tony Romo do? He throws an interception. His team down 5 with 3 minutes to go.
Fantastic.
So the Dallas defense, again, can't stop jack or shit. So again, the Packers drive down the field and score a touchdown. They missed the 2-point conversion, which they wanted to make it a 3-point game.
So they're
it's a 1-point game in favor of the Packers, 37-36.
Wow.
Tony Romo gets the ball again. There's a minute left on the clock. Our defense isn't great either, so we're probably shitballs. I still have a feeling this whole thing's going to go down the shitter.
Right.
What does Tony Romo do, Ian?
Another interception.
He throws another interception, like Tony
So much
Romo
for
do.
clutch.
And so the Packers
Tony Romo do.
fucking won and kept pace with the Bears, who won earlier. So we're a half game behind the Bears. The best part of all of this is that last night the Lions played the Ravens on Monday Night Football and lost.
Is that... I don't know.
So now the Lions are a half game behind us. We're only a half game behind Chicago, and the Packers play the Bears the last week of the season.
So there's a
So
chance.
if the Packers win their last 2 games, they're in the playoffs. That's all they need to do. They don't need help from anything. All they need to do is win 2 games, and they're in.
That's hilarious. I mean, these last few weeks, like Sparky said on Sunday.
Yeah,
he's been so depressed with good reason.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys really were on cruise control. It was a standard thing where you're talking about how, oh, yep, Packers won,
They never should have had a chance to make it to the playoffs, given what,
But I mean, you guys just crumbled along with his collarbone.
The division crumbled with us.
I know.
That's what made this miracle happen. Because with Rodgers' broken collarbone, so too do the Lions and Bears break. The Lions,
like this curse. They did some witch doctor stuff.
I can't
the curse of the baby.
If Aaron Rodgers does fail, they're casting salts and shit around.
It was casted by the lore master.
I mean, at this point, it must feel like sorcery. If you're a Lions fan, you must be like, there is a god, and he's looking out for the Packers, because we keep getting fucking boned.
And he's sitting on the Lions. And shitting on the Lions.
I never would have fathomed it. A month ago, I never would have figured we'd get back in the playoffs. We got crucified by Detroit on Thanksgiving, 40-10.
That's sad.
At that point, I was like, this shit's over. This team
really
is
sad.
a fucking joke.
Everybody sucks. Well, same thing about the coach, too, because I love that part.
Oh, yeah. So, our coach, Mike McCarthy, in his post-game presser...
How long has he been coach?
He's been our coach since 2005?
So when you guys started getting, well, you've always been good, but
We've always been good.
Since
or at least the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
The 60s, 70s, no, the 70s, 80s Packers are...
Not very good. We don't talk about those Packers.
But
he's been there 7 years.
He's been there for a while. He's won a Super Bowl. And so I guess a reporter asked him, where does this rank on games that you've coached? And he was like, number 2. Behind the Super Bowl, he's like, yeah.
And it's not going to beat the Super Bowl, but yeah, number 2.
It's not going to beat the Super Bowl, but it was. I did look up the numbers for it. Coming back from 23 down was tied for the biggest comeback in Packers history.
Wow.
And it's the biggest lead the Cowboys have given up in their history.
Nice.
These are both very old teams. They've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
So those are big fucking records.
like Leatherhead old.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to take her with football because I know for the most part we probably apply to mostly nerd people like this podcast, but
I mean,
not
you're
insulting. I am a nerd. I'm not insulting anyone.
You just happen to also have this thing for sports.
Yeah, I've always been kind of a hybrid.
That's true.
Like an Animorph.
I blame your parents.
Started reading those books, did you?
I read the first Animorphs the other day.
He literally went in less than 10 seconds. He went from sports to Animorphs.
I love it.
Which I feel really encompasses the work in progress.
I was just about to say, that is us.
I segue like no one else can.
Poor names, telemarketing, and then football, and
Animorphs.
And
I mean,
fucking Betty.
Fuck it
Not
all.
to mention Troll 2.
And Troll 2, yes, of
and then
course.
Drinking Quest. I mean,
And now we've recapped the whole episode.
This train makes a lot of
You guys
stops,
all
baby.
missed it, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of twists and turns. But you're reading Animorphs.
Yeah, someone on Reddit brought up Animorphs recently, and then some guy responded with that reminds me, I have this zip file of all the Animorphs books in ebook form. And I was like, well, fuck, I gotta try this. Just as a nostalgia trip. I was like, I'll get 4 chapters in and be like, yeah, this is poopy, I remember this, and then I'll discard it. So I downloaded this fucking zip, and I ended up reading the whole first Animorphs book in a day, because they're only 90 pages.
No, they're not children's book, but they're
They're young adult.
Yeah, 9 to 12.
Tween kind of.
Yeah.
If we whip out.
I was actually surprised at how good I thought it was. I mean, not as something that stands up to the titans of literature, but just for what it is and for what I was expecting.
It intrigued your nerdness.
Yeah, it was better than I remembered it. I think being. I always thought it was just kind of some shitty camp series, but I'm like, no, this is kind of neat. It's got this deep mythology and shit that it.
It's a
apparently
surprisingly
follows
expansive
pretty
mythology.
closely.
Apparently.
Yeah, it's got all sorts of weird alien races and
all this shit.
These kids that turn into animals.
Which is, I mean, that's what grabbed me. When I was a kid, that's all you needed.
Animorphs.
And
the
kids
cover
that
has
become
the kid
animals
turning into an animal.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember that shit.
It's hot.
It's look, he's an anteater now.
Well, and I forgot one of them. Animorph spoilers. One of the kids.
Yeah,
the fucking
big freaking deal.
The delays. It's been 15 fucking years.
They're warned when they get their powers. They're don't stay in animal form for more than 2 hours, or you'll stay an animal.
Or
it's
God
the
help
thing
you.
your mom tells you about making a face. You keep making it, it'll be stuck like that.
One of the kids gets stuck in hawk form, at the end of the.
Yeah, that's right, and he stays that way for the rest of the series. He's just a fucking bird.
I remember this upon reading it, but I totally didn't remember that as an element of the series beforehand. I'm like, that's right. This nerdy asshole turned into a hawk.
And from then on, they have Hawk Dude.
Hawk forever. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's intense, man. And then I started wondering, and I'm not sure if it ever gets brought up, but I'm like, What do his parents think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they are, because main thing I remember from the Animorphs, number one, they turn into fucking animals. Number two is the crazy ear slug Yerks, the bad guys, controlling people's minds and shit, which is disgusting and awesome. But maybe they're all Yerkified. You guys ever read? Anyone else here?
I read the shit out of Animorphs. My favorite Animorphs books, though, wasn't a true Animorphs book.
What is that? What?
It was one of the companion novels. It was called The Elemist.
Yeah.
It was about... It's so fucking good. Let me just explain to you why it's so good. So, if you don't like Animorphs, just fucking piss off right now, because the next 10 minutes are just going to be boring as shit for you.
Animorphs! We're doing this.
We're doing this now.
Expected
So, alright, so the Elemist is like this godlike being in Animorphs lore.
Sure.
And I did just drop the word lore in Animorphs.
It has an expansive mythology. I think you're within your rights to use lore.
Yeah,
People probably talk about the Twilight lore, so I think it's safe to use it for Animorphs or anything.
Throughout the books, occasionally they mention
Die Hard lore.
They mention this like prophecy that's basically the entire time is just foreshadowing the last book in the series, which is when only one Animorph will remain, and he will be visited by the Elemist, and that Animorph will die.
Dude, spoilers.
Dude. So, the Elemist is basically...
Prophecy is not a spoiler. Well, actually, it kind of is.
Yeah, I think
it's a very vague
prophecy is like a life spoiler.
That's fair.
So anyway,
so
universe.
The book The Elemist focuses on... it's kind of like a frame story. It's being told by the last Elemist, because he's the last one of his kind. Mm-hmm. And he's basically... It starts off with him telling his life story. And what they would do for... This is like the main thing I remember from this fucking book. For fun, the Elemists would go to planets, because they were basically like the Guardians in Green Lantern. Like, they just had fucking reign of the whole goddamn universe. They would just go to planets with any type of life, any life at all. And they would play a game where they would make one change to anything on the planet. You know, that might... They would change like an element in the ground. They would change one thing about the creatures. They would do whatever. And then they would speed time up by like millions of years.
And this was like Windows Solitaire, right?
Yeah, this is just what they did for fucking fun. So, and they would speed time up and they would just see what happened. And the goal was to see which race... There were two outcomes. You could either have one race destroy the... Well, three outcomes, I guess. One race destroys the other. Both races destroy themselves. Or both races achieve like, peace.
Utopia.
Yeah. But the peace one was frowned upon because it was, for whatever reason, in the Elemist culture, it was just like, peace isn't something you want. And I don't remember why.
Some crazy bullshit.
Yeah. But the one they played, there was like, one planet, like the planet he chose was like a water planet. And the way they described it always reminded me of those water bugs from Super Mario 64 with the crazy legs.
Yes.
Yeah. So like those were the only inhabitants, and the skies were just cloudy, like super cloudy. And his opponent chose some other planet with like sort of like pig-like beings, the very cavemanish, but very pig-like. So he's telling his point of view. All he does is he opens the sky, like a small portion of the sky, for like 3 years. And then he goes. Yeah. And nothing fucking happens. And I was like 10 reading this book. I was like, no fucking shit, nothing happened. You opened the sky for 3 years. All they did was look up, get used to it, and then they're like, oh, the sky's gone. Damn.
That was weird.
You guys remember when we had a sky?
No.
That was neat.
Shut up, Frank.
Really Frank, you're crazy. Go to bed. And then, like, after, like, thousands and thousands of years, the other person's people, like, they have, like, this fucking spaceship and, like, giant missiles and shit. They come and just obliterate this guy's, like, race of weird bug creatures. And he's so sad.
Orc Bajir.
Maybe.
It's one of the species of Animorphs.
It's entirely possible.
That actually rings a bell.
I know, right? As soon as I read it, I was like, I remember the words.
One of the only books that... I think I had like two of them. One of them was where it was the main Animorphs and they were attacked by these really teeny tiny aliens that were trying to take over the world. So the guy like turned into an anteater and like ate them or some shit. I don't really know. Well, was easy. And then the other one was like a companion one where it had two of the main alien races, including the one dude who gives them the powers.
Andalites.
Andalites, yes. Wow.
Stupid names.
Suddenly, I'm like,
And the other one,
and all this
and the other one was
knowledge.
a Hork-Bajir, and it was just like two of them deserted on a planet by themselves, and neither of them could speak each other's language or some shit. And that one was
It's
really
like an
fucking
awkward
awesome.
sitcom.
Seems like
Yeah, it was wacky. No, that was good shit. But I remember, like, in retrospect, it was very childish and short. You know, it wasn't exactly
Succinct.
like advanced writing or something. It was very succinct.
Except when
But
they
the
used the word,
concepts
like,
were.
Hork-Bajir.
It was good shit.
And you're a 10-year-old, you read that,
Good
and you're like,
science
Orc
fiction.
Badger? I'm confused. And your teacher looks at you like you're
They
a
also
fucking
had a
idiot.
TV show. I never
Yeah.
watched
There
it.
was a TV show.
There was
It was
a
really
TV show.
dumb.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
It was
Probably
on the same-
like Nickelodeon or something.
It was on right before The Secret Life of Alex Mack. The girl who could turn into a puddle of, like, liquid
Oh,
metal.
that's right.
Yeah.
Her secret
Like
life was
the
being
Terminator?
full of liquid metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except she couldn't do, like, cool Terminator shit.
She just became a puddle.
She would, like, move
She
around
could-
as a puddle.
Yeah.
Oh,
She
she
Yeah.
also
really.
like sneak into shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
She
She
was-
a detective.
Well, yeah,
Something
because
like
So
she...
that seems like
She
something
was-
Veronica Mars could use.
It really was.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a Veronica
Yeah,
Mars
she
thing.
was kind of a sleuth.
She was like an environmentalist.
Yeah,
and
that's
the
right.
big bad of the
Oh,
series was like this big CEO of this company who was like polluting the fucking.
It was like Captain Planet.
Yeah, the Captain Planet, except with a fucking 13-year-old girl who could turn into a puddle of metal.
That's-
Which I'm pretty sure is how they pitched the show.
All right,
and someone
It's
was
like Captain Planet.
but minus all the crazy kids, and it's just like this girl in like high school or
And she
something.
turns
Yeah, it
into
is,
a
yeah.
puddle instead of having any actually useful powers.
We'll start next March.
So, I want to switch gears here, and I don't want to wait for Comics and Coffee to talk about this because, seeing as it's one of my favorite things of all time, I have to talk about it.
Talk about
It was, I mentioned this before, and it wasn't confirmed yesterday, but as of today, it's confirmed. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who we all know and love, Andrew in particular, it seems. He's a very talented man.
He's a very handsome man.
He's a very handsome man. It has been announced that he will 100% be both directing and starring in a film adaptation of Neil Gaiman's Sandman.
Really?
Yeah,
That's wow.
and it's going
It's
to be
not the Spider-Man villain.
no,
It's a
no.
no.
He's a
Totally different thing.
yeah. He's like at this
Has to
point
do
he's
with,
kind
like,
of a lesser known DC hero, but
Dreams and shit. Something.
well, yeah, he lives in dreams.
Right.
Like, you gotta have to read the book to understand, but there's like
We crossed over briefly in this fucking graphic novel class I took, but I've never actually read.
You took
I should
a
hope
graphic
you-
novel class?
Yeah, it was awesome.
I
That
should-
sounds like one of the.
Had to write
That sounds like a thing
scripts
I
for
want.
comics
Yeah.
and shit.
I want to do that thing.
I want to do that thing.
By the way, writing scripts for comics is like the loosest format imaginable.
I think we've talked about that on here before.
Yeah,
Because
I think we did talk about
movies
that's
are
one of the
slightly
first
more
episodes.
structured comic book scripts.
Heavily more structured.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah,
Even
he's
more so.
he's doing that, and what it looks like it's going to be. Though this part also hasn't been confirmed yet. A few weeks ago, DC announced that they were in the talks to create not low budget but lower budget films for some of their lesser known heroes and
Which
villains.
makes sense.
Yeah, and Marvel was thinking about doing the same thing.
Sure.
So what we think it's going
Seems
to
like Marvel just went with Netflix series instead.
exactly, yeah.
Netflix.
So what we think this is going to be is Sandman.
No. What are you talking
How
about?
Netflix is doing Marvel's doing Netflix series for like Daredevil and Luke Cage.
No, I haven't heard or
and Jessica
about the.
Jones.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Who the hell is
another
Jessica
one.
Jones?
She's some lady who's never been super important, but I guess they're going to try and make her important.
Okay.
The important thing is that they're doing 13 episode series for all those guys, and they're doing a 13 episode series that ties them all together called Defenders. And
Oh, so it's like a Netflix Avengers.
yeah, and
Maybe
well,
we have
the
talked
biggest,
about
the
this.
biggest,
That
most
sounds
important
kind of
thing
familiar.
is that the Daredevil one is going to be written by, or kind of show run by Drew Goddard, who wrote and directed Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
is a
Probably handpicked
super
by-
huge dork like Joss Whedon.
Yeah, probably handpicked by Joss Whedon. So.
Yeah, so that's exciting. But I hate to steal your thunder.
No, you're
I
fine.
could have sworn we talked about the Netflix.
I think we have talked about it. I just
You
spaced
just
on
need
it.
to get your fucking
I'm
mind
sorry.
right.
I'm
Ian.
sorry.
Anyway, Sandman.
Yeah, so Sandman, yeah, so the big idea right now is that Sandman's going to be kind of the proving ground for it. You know, if they can make Sandman for $10 million as opposed to 50.
Well, he's
or
got
like
a big
200.
following as compared to a lot of their smaller.
Well, yeah, especially since it's, I mean, you can't, Sandman's kind of in a unique position because he's a very well-known superhero. Because Sandman is widely considered to be one of like the top 5 greatest, you know, comic book series ever written. It's up there with like Watchmen and fucking Kingdom Come and shit. But he's a very popular hero who in recent years just kind of doesn't really exist because he's not really used.
Right.
Because the way Neil Gaiman wrote it, he kind of had his end. Like, he's not dead or anything. He's still alive. It's just
the story's over.
The story's over for him.
Are they doing a?
I hear he's doing a
prequel
sequel,
series
or
right
is it a
now,
prequel?
or-
Yeah, they're doing the same thing with Sandman that they did with Watchmen. That Neil Gaiman, I believe, is watching over, but he's not doing it right now because he's working on Miracle Man.
But at least he's involved somewhat, whereas like
Yeah.
Alan Moore with when they did before.
Yeah,
Watchmen,
he
was like,
just shook
fuck you
him
guys, stop
immediately.
shitting on my things.
Yeah.
Which is like Alan Moore's trademark catchphrase.
But then I actually, stop shitting on my things.
It's
But
on
I
his sex
actually
fucking
heard,
business
I actually
card.
heard before Watchmen was pretty good for the most part, and I should
It was,
give
yeah.
it a look. But
Was it?
I'm sure he wasn't happy with it no matter what happened.
No, of course not.
The,
He's a cranky old wizard.
if I recall right, and I might be wrong, it was the Ozymandias and the Rorschach ones were the standout miniseries from before.
Shocking.
If you were to make
That's the two best characters
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the series.
If you're gonna
have the
make any of
best-
them work, it would be Rorschach. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the most.
Well, Ozymandias is a great villain.
Yeah, I agree.
I know it's the cliche one that resonates with everyone, but the moment in Watchmen where he's all like, if there was any chance of you stopping me, I wouldn't be telling you about it right now. I set it off like 30 minutes ago or whatever.
Yeah, that's great. It's like, by the way, I
one
already
of-
did that shit.
It's one of the defining villain moments of like any medium
Well,
I've ever seen.
he's such a frustrating villain because they're so defeated by it. Like, they don't
Yeah.
really stand a chance at the end of that. He's like, no, I thought of everything. I'm stronger, and I already did it.
I'm
so
the best. It's like-
Enjoy your ruined
I'm the
world.
best. Suck it. There's a plane if you want to go home.
But good fucking luck
I'm
landing
going to
it,
kill
so...
Yeah, so frustrating. I mean, there wasn't really a fight like
Yeah.
at the end of Watchmen. But
Well,
go on.
That might... Well, I was done.
No,
That might be my... The main problem I have with Watchmen is he's so... And I know this is exactly why it's revered, because it's very much the opposite of everything else that had been done
In Super.
And it's still not really done very often.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
But it's just so goddamn anticlimactic. He's like, oh, joke's on you, like fucking 15 squids all over the world destroying shit. You can't do fuck all.
Well, it's true. That's
And the one guy who could stop it is, in space.
Yeah, he's off doing his own shit.
That's
This
what I
blue
always loved
penis.
about Watchmen. When I first read it, I guess I was initially disappointed
Yeah.
because it really does. It feels like it's building and building and building towards this big thing, and you get to that thing, and he's all like, "Fuck it, man, it's over.
Yeah.
There's nothing to fight over."
Story's
It's
already
won.
gone, man.
It's just like, but in retrospect, like that's one of my favorite things about it was the fact that it's got this, like it dared to take that chance.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know sucking Watchmen's dick is like so. Like everyone does it.
yeah.
Someone has to on this podcast, because I'm not going to do it.
I love it. I'll always love
I'll suck it.
Yeah, you two will suck it fine. Brandon might suck it too if he ever reads
Not
it.
the movie's
I
dick.
am not really.
He's
I will
up
not
for it.
suck the
it.
movie's
Yeah, the
dick.
movie is not super.
The movie was poop. It was poop.
The irony here being that I acknowledge
Did you like the movie?
It's not great, but I don't think it's terrible. I'll watch it if I'm bored and I'm like, oh, there's explosions in this.
I mean, I
Works
can't
with Zack
deny
Snyder
that.
are
Yeah.
not my favorite things.
No.
Though I did think that because the movie handles the end a little differently.
Yeah,
And
it does.
I liked their take on it.
They
Well, it's
dropped
like it's
the
not giant squids. It was
it's just,
Dr.
it's just
Manhattan.
like it's just like
bombs
making
or whatever the shit.
Manhattan look like he caused a huge nuclear explosion.
Well, because the giant squids
Yeah.
are like
Psychic.
out of left
Yeah,
field.
exactly. Like that,
Psychic
that
alien
might be the
squids.
weirdest part of the whole climax is that he's like, I ruined the city with giant alien squids, and it's like the movie handles it a little better because that big nuclear conflict thing really just it's the perfect cherry on that.
Right. Yeah.
So there is at least that.
But the soundtrack is
soundtrack's really
It's really weird. Is the problem? You know the scene? They're doing it up in the Owlmobile or whatever the fuck that thing is called, and it's like
Yeah.
got the original version of Hallelujah, not the
Yeah.
slow kind of sad one that was in
everything.
Shrek. I
Well,
think.
who wants to listen? Who wants to watch sex listening to sad Hallelujah? Or sorry, it's Broken Chorus. That's what it's called.
Is that the actual?
I think
name of
so.
it?
Here, you keep talking. I'm gonna look it up.
But it's like that weird guy. It's like I heard there was, and it's very awkward. The whole thing, and that movie.
Some of the music cues in that movie are really
But
weird.
it was really
They kinda
sad
take
because
out
the
the-
first 5 minutes, easily the best part, where they're doing the montage of how superheroes became a thing in the past, and they got Bob Dylan's times.
Yep.
I think it's times they're changing.
Something Bob Dylan.
Yeah, I think it's times.
I don't care enough about him to know what song it was.
Whoa, man! But that was great. I'm like, oh, I'm so psyched for this movie. And then 99 Luftballons comes on, and I'm like, okay, never mind.
I got a
I'm
feeling
totally
I
lost.
just turned a lot of people against me by saying that I don't care about October.
I don't care about
Chris Chris is gonna send you a very,
Chris
very
already knows that.
harsh-worded fucking text.
I'm sure Chris is already well aware.
It's okay, Chris. I will
Single
support
care.
Bob Dylan on the podcast.
You're right. It's called
I've
Halloween.
already made an enemy of him anyway by professing my adoration for Cosmic Marvel.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Plug for Comics and Coffee. Go listen to it now. There's 2 fucking episodes up. Probably 3 actually.
Are there 2?
There are 2 up, and I would like to record the 3rd one on Thursday again.
Oh, so yeah, it won't be 3 by the time this one comes out. We'll be recording 3 the day after this.
We'll be
is over.
recording 3 sometime this week, and it should be up by Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, and sometime this week we're going to try our other.
Yeah. Ian and I had an idea. We'd like to try and do like a movies thing.
Because Lord knows we love that movie.
Like the
talk.
comics thing that
Yeah,
we were talking about with Mitch,
Yeah.
but with movies.
Yeah. It'd be like a little movie podcast that's in the the boat.
Yeah,
Clearly,
I might bring
you guys-
Kevin on.
yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to spread myself as thin as I possibly can. And just
No,
as many of these shows as
fucking
possible.
Mitch was talking to me, and I guess I've unknowingly been like delegating jobs to people, like not on purpose, but like Andrew, you have Comics and Coffee. Ian, you're sort of the film and like audio engineer,
Sure.
And then Brandon, I told Brandon that he would do the YouTube thing or whatever,
I'm waiting.
and Mitch came to me and he's like, "Do you mind if I took over the YouTube thing? Because I feel like I need a job for work in progress."
And
I
you're
was
like, hey man.
Well, no,
go
I was
for
like,
it.
Mitch, you're on the podcast. He's like, yeah, but I'm just on the podcast. And I was like, listen, if you want to take over YouTube shit, go for it, man. Yeah. So, sorry, Brandon, your job's
That's
taken over.
That's fine.
And Brandon's satisfied.
Brandon's been fired.
Oh, well.
By the way, we forgot to tell you.
Oh, I see how it is.
Ambushed. But yeah, we're.
I said that for him. I'm happy.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, he did. He said it, he made it look very nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, so tell us about the movie thing you guys are going to do.
I mean, it would be just kind of like Comics and Coffee.
It would be
It'd
this very
shorter
similar
show,
format.
where we would just and one of the reasons I really like the idea of doing it is I was telling Ian the other day. We've recently seen 2 pretty current movies, Gravity and Catching Fire, and we
Very
And
different.
Gravity's been
yeah,
around
Gravity's
for a
been
little
around
bit.
for a bit,
but it's still worth talking
it's still
about.
newish that you don't want to ruin it for people.
Yeah.
And I was saying it's kind of hard to go in depth in movie discussions on this show because it's so big that if I was to sit down and talk about Catching Fire for like 15 minutes, there's still a lot of show around that. And if I was like, all right, we're going to start talking about Catching Fire, skip around 15 to 20 minutes.
I'm not
podcast if
sure.
you don't want it
Yeah.
spoiled. But like if we did like a specific movie podcast where it's like 30 minutes long and we just put in the description like today we talk about Catching Fire and Gravity, spoilers for both. If you don't want to hear them, just skip this episode.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's it's literally that easy. And we could talk about just movie and TV news,
Fucking
and all
anything.
that fun stuff. And all the time, Ian and I and his girlfriend Caitlin will just sit down and just bullshit movies all the time anyway. Like,
Yeah, and she might be on the podcast as well, so we'll finally get her.
we
to-
can go on and on and
Come
on.
on.
So it's like we might as well record that
Yeah.
and make something out of it.
Well, and as we were talking about with Comics and Coffee as well, like with this show, like we made the comment earlier, we jump around like crazy.
This
it's
is
more
such
about
a general discussion.
yeah, it's an open forum, man.
And I'm just pausing one real quick second before I forget this. I noticed I did this backward. I was like, guys, let's do a podcast, a long form podcast where we just bullshit. Like fucking any other group of people who are already established.
Right.
We should have came in doing fucking Comics and Coffee, the fucking movie thing, fucking the YouTube shit and the Vines, and then done the podcast. But whatever, we haven't.
That's
So-
all right.
also
Fast
work out.
backwards.
It'll work
Yeah.
out.
So okay,
It's
go
all
ahead.
going to be great. But yeah, so I thought this way we just kind of separate into different subjects and handle them in this format. It'll be great.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And on movie discussions, Anchorman 2 is getting really good reviews.
It is getting really
Dying
good.
to see it now.
I mean, I am not.
I was keeping myself really, really hesitant because I was like, there's so much chance that they'll cock this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
But it's coming in and cruising in like the mid 80s on Rotten Tomatoes right now, and I'm like, suddenly I have never been more excited for anything in my life.
Well, and Lord knows critics, cocked and loaded, ready to gun it down if it.
Yeah,
if it-
movies like Anchorman have never been critic fodder. Like it'd be so easy to just be.
It'd be
What
so
is
easy to gun it
This
down.
is the silliest damn thing.
This
I've
is
ever seen in
fucking
my life.
retarded.
Because if they did a half-assed one, I mean, nothing would keep them from pulling the shit switch like they did with Hangover Part 3. And they're like,
And
don't
2.
watch this poop.
And 2.
Well,
2
yeah,
and
and
3.
2 for that
2
matter.
and
I never saw 3. But
3
I
more
watched
so
it
than
half-assed.
2.
Well, no, see, at least from what I hear, 3 tried to be like different. 2 is literally just a complete rehash.
That's what, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's still funny because it's like you put
Bang
funny,
talk.
you put funny people in a room together, they'll make you laugh. But it's literally them walking through the same premise.
You were like, foot funny
It's
premise.
like, I would have enjoyed this better if you had literally just thrown Bradley Cooper, Zach Galifianakis, and Ed Helms on the stage and just had them shoot the shit for 2 hours, because it would be different, you know? Because I'm only enjoying it because these people are in it and they're being funny.
So it's definitely a good sign that it's doing well critically,
Yeah.
because God knows it's going to do well box office wise.
Especially with the good reviews.
Are you
There's
kidding
gonna-
me? Even with the bad
I was
reviews,
looking
it'd
at our
probably do.
theater showtimes for tomorrow. In
Sure.
our college town, they're running it 4 times.
Really?
They have 4 showtimes for Anchorman 2 opening day tomorrow.
Wow.
I'm like, are you people
I
insane?
thought it opened on Wednesdays, like tomorrow. Well,
Like,
tomorrow.
they have,
like-
Oh, okay.
I thought it was
I thought it-
Christmas Day, though. I thought
It used to be
Yeah.
Christmas Day. They
Oh,
pushed
they-
it back.
Whoa.
Or pushed
That
it
does not
Forward.
happen.
Yeah.
That's
That does
saying
not happen
something.
often.
It does not happen often. I think they wanted to really put a death hold on a weekend because Christmas is going to be loaded with shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, as always.
And so not only they're putting it out Wednesday to give them an extra day head start on whatever their competition is this week, but I don't think they have much going.
I don't think
against
there
them
is anything.
this go around, and I couldn't tell you for sure, but like most
I mean,
stuff.
American
I know American
Hustle,
Hustle
maybe.
is going wider this weekend, but
Yeah.
it's already been out for a weekend in some places.
I'm really excited about that.
I'm also really excited for that. It's not at this theater down here, but I think it's at the Warenberg. I
Are
don't
you
know.
guys
Yeah,
referring
remember.
to the Silver Lining Fighter?
Yeah,
I see
all
what
it
you
is.
did there.
Anchorman
see what you
2
did there.
is coming out this weekend along with Saving Mr. Banks and Walking with Dinosaurs. I don't think there's much crossover there.
Fuck you! I want to see Walking Dinosaurs.
That movie looks so stupid.
Dinosaurs, the sequel.
That's all I want
It
to.
has nothing to do with like Disney, so it's probably not even a competent studio making it. I don't know anything about it, but it looks stupid.
I saw a trailer for the first time. Like, shit. When was it? Was it the second time when I went
There was
to
a
see
trailer
Catching
for
Fire
it,
with
Catching
you?
Fire.
That's the first time I even
First
heard
time
about
I saw it was at the trailer for Frozen. So I got a 3D trailer and everything, and I was still just not impressed.
it. And you know,
Got the
I still
fancy
didn't
shit
care.
for it, but there's a fire. There's a prehistoric fire.
Frozen's
Yeah, it's
doing really
from
well.
Fox Animation, so it's not even like DreamWorks.
Oh,
it's like the people
Fox.
who made like Ice Age.
Ice
Remember-
Age was decent.
The first
Ice
Ice
Age
Age
was
was
good,
good.
1 and 4 were good. 2 and
I
3 were
haven't
bad.
seen 4.
4 was not terrible.
4?
There's 4 of
I
them.
know there was a third one.
No, 3 was
There are
not.
too many. That's what we can say.
Yeah.
Much as there are too many Shreks.
Yeah.
Except
yeah.
Shrek's progressively got worse. Ice Age 4 was not terrible.
Shrek 1 and 2 were the bomb.
They
Yeah.
hated it though.
3 was
thankfully.
bad.
3 was so
They
goofy.
made it.
I never even saw 4.
I saw 4 on a plane. I regret.
On the plane.
I wasted so much time.
If it's a plane
watching
movie,
that.
that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard a story of someone seeing a good movie on a plane. I've never been on a flight that shows a movie, so I don't
Pulp
know.
Fiction on a
They show Deep Impact on planes.
Yes, they do.
Deep Impact.
If I was on a plane to Hawaii, I would literally beg them to play The Descendants and be like, it would just make my life.
I
That's
still
all I
haven't
want.
seen that, you know.
You haven't seen The
I
Descendants?
haven't either. Yeah.
We're getting together and having a screening.
4 people
a
in this
work
room,
in
I think,
progress
probably.
screening will happen.
Oh,
Because
okay.
that was legitimately one of my favorite movies a couple of years ago. Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you
Yeah,
see how
yeah,
easily
yeah.
it is for us to just go into movies? Like, let's
We'll
talk
stick
about
to
all
it,
this
man.
movie
No,
shit.
yeah, it's the same thing with comic books, man. I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's go fucking go for it. What should we do?
I'm not stopping.
I'm really glad that you guys are taking the work in progress spirit here and just running with it.
Yeah.
Because you know
It just seems like a thing to do.
it makes my life easier.
If we do enough shit, eventually something will stick, and everything else will stick with it.
Exactly.
That's
Well,
the
the more shit we do, the more likely one of them is bound to become popular.
The more we shit, the more someone will like the smell of it.
It's the Tommy gun approach. Fire a lot of bullets. One of them has to hit something.
It's
I like
true,
that.
though.
It is.
It's fucking true, man.
That's how you got to do most shit. Tess, you seem anxious.
I'm anxious.
I don't know. You're just sitting there, you're like picking your nails and you're just kind of fidgeting around.
I'm
what I
just
do.
I pick on things. That's what I do. I just pick on. I don't know. I do that.
I'm not asking for you, man.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But looking at my habits,
She's
Yeah.
always bullying me and stuff.
She's
That's
always
what I was thinking. I was like, it's
picking
too easy.
on me.
She's picking on me.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody had to take it. So thank you for doing it.
It's just me.
'Cause I didn't-
I'm so easy.
I didn't want to. it's like dad pun humor kind of thing, which I love.
Oh god, I wish I could remember it. I made the absolute worst dad joke at work the other day.
It's a type of humor.
My coworker
Yeah.
just like
Dad.
glared at me. It's one of those moments where I feel like I need to have a kid because I just made like the daddest joke that ever dad.
And you would high five the kid because the kid would be like, They
That's
have
always
your
the way
back.
it is. You're
Yeah.
like, yeah, up top.
I don't remember what it was. It was awful though.
I made a dad joke that made Sonya like physically leave the room and day high five me for it. So it's fine. I don't remember what it was, but it was stupid as shit.
She had to get out of proximity with you.
Shit.
That's
Yeah.
funny. That's
It's almost
Yeah.
noxious. Like,
Yeah.
It's like a
that.
bad
oh no, I
fart.
have to leave.
Like I can't be here right now.
I just have to get out of the proximity of the joke, like it never happened. It's radioactive in here.
How are we on time?
We're at an hour 15.
I think that's probably good. Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
wrap.
Anybody else have anything they want to talk about in particular?
Payday 2 is awesome. We love it.
Yeah. Talk about how fucking rad Payday 2 is.
A plug for a game that a lot of people have.
For a good reason. It's so much better than Payday 1.
I never played Payday 1.
Like, I bought Payday 1 and I played it a few times. It's not a terrible game.
Sure.
It's fine, but it really does very much feel just like Left 4 Dead, but you're robbing banks.
Right.
Payday
You know,
2
there
really
actually
fixes
there's a No Mercy map in.
There is.
Payday?
There is.
Nice.
Yeah, and they actually make this joke. Like after they leave, they're like on the elevator or some shit. And the guy's coughing like, oh, I don't feel very good. Like they're the ones that started the fucking zombie apocalypse because they
Yeah.
broke in and stole this blood sample or
This
something.
fucking shit. God
Yeah.
damn it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, isn't that great?
It's fantastic.
Actually,
But it's fun.
you remember in Payday 2 that the one where we tried to cook meth and we blew up the house?
I love that one. That went so well.
He's like, yeah, and then mix blah blah blah. He's like, I'm gonna try this.
Well, that's what it never got any better because like then we have the day 2 mission where
'Cause it
like
keeps
supposed to
going.
sneak around and like talk with these folks, except they
With
just
your
like
nomad?
they just end up shooting us on sight.
we had no product, and they're like, where're the drugs?
And they just started
And then
pulling out
he
their
starts
guns.
shooting
That whole
everybody.
thing went to shit. I don't even remember what part 3 was. But
It was
started
also
going
bad.
better.
It was also bad.
fucking
But
horrible.
on that first day, when you're out in like I think it's the first day, you're out in like that dark fucking farmland. There's a chance that the witch is somewhere on that level.
Oh yeah. You told me.
And
About
does like a jump scare if you walk up to her and you kind of hear her in the background.
so-
Isn't that great? Fucking jump scare though.
God damn it.
That's evil. But I haven't seen it because Lord knows I don't play that one
It
level.
also
there.
probably
I
has a
literally
really,
played it
really
once.
low chance of happening.
I would assume,
Yeah.
but they make an obvious reference to the fact that
It's
it
like
feels
Left 4 Dead.
like Left 4 Dead,
Yeah.
but robbing banks. But man, it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Like, that's not
So
a bad
good.
thing. Yeah.
Oh my
Alright.
god!
We've logged a lot of time into that.
Okay, that's
So
that's
yeah,
a good one.
let's wrap this up. As usual, I don't really have anything to plug because I don't fucking do anything except for this. I guess the most recent thing we can do is check out our Vine account. Keep an eye on our YouTube, which I'll probably put in the description, maybe. As well as check out Comics and Coffee before my fucking voice goes out.
It's dying, man.
It is. It's
like a
very, very
candle
slowly.
It's gotten worse.
It is.
slowly
It's,
going
it's
out.
slowly gotten worse. Let's wrap this up real quick. On my left, we have.
Ian.
Tess.
Andrew.
Shout out to Jake's mom.
Yes.
And as always, I am Jake. Thanks for listening. We will see you guys back here, hopefully on Friday with the next episode of Comics Coffee.
Yeah, for whatever the fuck we call it.
Yeah.
And a movie thing to come.
Yeah, whatever.
Project.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
what I-
Movies
that's what
and
I had a good
muffins.
idea for a Vine the other night that we're going to talk to you about.
All right, good. Awesome. All right, so see you guys there. Bye. Bye. Bye.